Guys, it's literally like 8 a.m. in the morning and I haven't filmed this week's video, so I'm gonna do it now. I got my notes. I actually scripted out today's video because I'm very passionate about this topic. So, okay, hi guys, it's me, Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to be doing a get ready with me while I tell you how to level up in 2024 and how to become your best self. I did one of these videos earlier in the summer. If you're interested in what I had to say then, I'll link the video up here. Okay, so the first piece of advice I have for you is to stop caring what people think. I think this is a very easy one, and I'm telling you it because I think a lot of people keep it in their brain but don't actually exercise it, and most of the times find themselves panicking over something that really isn't that deep. The number one thing I have to say on this subject is that no one cares as much as you do, and you are going to be your biggest critic. No one is going to critique yourself as hard as you do yourself. Especially in college, this applies to social media. I know so many people that are so hesitant to post on social media because of just general fears. And I find it so sad that people are so scared to post on Instagram. And what I have to say to that is turn off your likes and comments. Instagram should not be an elitist platform. Instagram should not be somewhere where you have social anxiety, period. And I used to be lenient on this and be like, oh, I totally get it if you have anxiety. No, you shouldn't be having anxiety posting on Instagram. And in 2024, I'm personally gonna keep my Instagram casual. It should not be something that serious. Also, I don't like keeping my comments on because half of the people that comment in your comment section, you're not even genuinely friends with. First off, that's the number one thing I have to say. In high school, I was so concerned about who was commenting on my Instagram, who was liking my photos. Like, girl, be so for real for a second. Okay, let's get on into point two. Point two is that you should stop taking advice and stop taking from people who are below your level of experience / level of higher self. Does that make sense? But stop taking from people who are below you. Number one, that sounds so messed up when I say it. Stop taking from people who haven't gone through as much as you, and stop taking from drama people. You should never be taking advice from someone who is a drama queen, period. Okay, the next tip is to stop fantasizing. And you're probably like, what? Why can't you just let me be? Fantasizing creates a false sense of reality, and I caught myself doing this a lot, especially in my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college. And I feel like you can see it in my videos a lot. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just love to do it, and I totally get it because it's an escape from reality. But you need to stop doing that because it kind of parlays into another step I'm going to be talking about. But the more you create this false sense of reality, the more you're going to be getting let down, okay? I think this especially applies to the college admissions process. If you keep on fantasizing about where you're gonna go and where you're gonna be and where you're gonna get accepted into, and then you don't, it's going to hurt so much more than it should. And if that means you stop watching my vlogs about you, stop watching. But if you build up this false sense of reality, it's just you get more let down when the wrong things happen. It kind of goes into becoming detached, which I will get into later. Okay, my next tip is to learn how to spend time alone. I've spoken about this so much on my channel that you're probably sick of me saying it by this point, but it's so important to invest in yourself and just be content by being with yourself. You are your biggest investment in life. That's the number one thing I have to say. You are your biggest investment in life, so you need to learn how to spend time by yourself. And as humans, we crave social contact, and I get that. And I think it's so normal to want to go out and just be with the general public, you know, but also learn how to spend time with yourself. Don't rely on other people to make yourself happy. This is one of my number one mantras in life and just navigating the world as a young adult, is that you can't rely on other people to make you happy. In the end, you have yourself, and that's it. You're the only person standing, and I don't care who your best friend is, I don't care who your family is. The only person who has your back in the end is yourself. So you need to invest time in yourself and kind of just find a hobby. That's another one of my tips. I think a lot of people, I think I was genuinely confused as to, you know, how to invest in yourself and how to spend time with yourself. And one of my tips is getting a hobby. And I don't care how serious this hobby is. One of my hobbies to me is reading. It doesn't have to be that serious at all. It doesn't have to be an extreme sport, and it doesn't have to be, I don't know, just something crazy. Just something that you can do in your alone time and do by yourself. I feel like it's just so rare for people to have activities that they do by themselves. And when you look at people who do have hobbies, you see them kind of as better. I don't know if that makes sense. They're not so concerned about what other people have to say, and they're not so concerned about, you know, their peers and what they're doing on Saturday, what they're doing on Sunday, because they have their own things to ground them. I think it's so important to be friends with people and have social contact, but I think spending alone time is so important. And spending alone time is not going on TikTok. Spending alone time is not going on Instagram Reels. Okay, the next step is to become detached. And this is kind of a big tip, so I'm gonna kind of spend a lot of time on it, but let's get into it. I'm gonna blend this out first and then we'll get into it. I'm still educating myself on detachment, so I'll read you the definition that I like. So detachment is the process of releasing attachment to the outcome itself, as well as the path that we might take to get there. And I don't mean by detaching that you cut off everyone in your life cold turkey. Girl, that is not detachment. That is quitting cold turkey. I think especially with your career, college, relationships, friendships, I think the law of detachment is something that is so strong that you should definitely carry in your life. And people who often are very attached have this mindset where they're kind of like, when I get this, I'll be whole. And when I'm in this relationship, I'll be full. And when I'm in this friendship, if I have this career, this job, this path, then I'll be happy and I'll be whole. But you have to realize that just because you are breathing and just because you are on this earth makes you whole. And just because you are just watching this video, you have value. And I think this is something that I need to take into my life more as well. I think especially with the law of detachment, you should have happiness within yourself. And back to what I was saying about, you know, investing in yourself and you being your biggest investment, you will never leave you. This is something that I heard literally yesterday, from the Wizard Liz. She's like my favorite YouTuber right now. You will never leave you. In the end, you only have yourself. Those two terms are exchangeable. Like, let's say if you get this something, it's gonna make you whole. No, it's not. No, it is not. It's not. Those things in your life add value. So you should have to be like happy, comfortable, and confident within yourself to really kind of exercise this law. And I'm still trying to educate myself more on this topic because it is something that I am truly interested in. But the more we detach from these kind of outcomes, expectancies, and pathways, the more easier it becomes to manifest these realities. If we're constantly thinking about this and that, and it's gonna make my life better, you're gonna create such a false sense of reality and you're gonna be so delusional. And I feel like especially in college, this applies to so many people's lives, and also in high school. The more you idolize someone, the more you fantasize about someone, the more attached you become to them. And in the end, you have to ask yourself, is this person really adding value into my life? I think for some people, it's hard to realize that because they don't feel whole themselves. And then that's where we really see this kind of self-care come into play. Everything connects to each other, guys. Everything connects to each other. Whether that means going to therapy or just like working on your mental space, those are all things that genuinely help with the process of making yourself whole. You might not be whole in the moment, but know that you're working for the rest of your life to figure out and kind of complete yourself. Because I feel like especially as young adults, we have so much pressure on who we're supposed to be and who we are. And you know, why are we listening to the outside noises? Okay, so that was the law of detachment, and now we're gonna move on to just some general pieces of advice. I think one of the #1 things I wanted to speak about today was the law of detachment, but now we will move on to another topic, and that's stop putting yourself down. I am so passionate about this topic because I think I see especially a lot of young women and young adults do it to themselves, and I'm so sick and tired of seeing it because people will gaslight themselves into believing that they are something that they are not. Stop the negative talk and stop complaining about yourself. And I probably sound like a mom. I probably sound so narcotic right now and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna turn this video off, but stop. If you are that friend that always says, I hate myself, I'm so ugly, like I'm so fat, like I'm so skinny, I wish I could be this, I wish I could be that, shut up. Genuinely, shut the fuck up. Because the more you repeat that and the more you reiterate that to yourself, you're gonna start believing that and I'm going to start believing that. I feel like the most gorgeous, smart people will say this stuff and you'll sit there and be like, yeah, sure. But just know that the more that you reiterate that shit, the more you're gonna believe it. The next tip I have is no more FOMO. FOMO is the fear of missing out, and I feel like people experience it quite a lot in university and in college, and I totally agree, and this is something I need to work on myself. But FOMO shouldn't exist if you have a higher sense of self. And I briefly talked about this over the summer in my How to Glow Up for College video, and I didn't realize I was talking about it in a way that I understand it now. I think it's important to understand that social media is a highlight reel, and I feel like a majority of FOMO does stem from Instagram, TikTok, what you see online. But you have to understand that, of course, people on the internet are only gonna post the best versions of themselves. So in general, what I have to say about this topic is to just stop caring / stop believing that someone's life is better than yours, more developed, more ahead than yours because of what you see on their Instagram. Like, that shit is fake. That's what I have to say to that. Okay, and my next tip is to take a step back and look at your relationships before you enter 2024, especially in your freshman year. You have a ton of friends. But the thing about college is that people are so eager to make friends that you don't know which one of those friends are genuine, which ones are not, which ones are just, you know, talking to you for the sake of social clout, etc. And I also think it's important to also slowly let someone down and not just cut someone off immediately. That's something I need to work on myself personally. I don't know why it is such a big deal to have so many friends. I don't know where that came from, or, you know, how that became the social norm. But just because you have a lot of friends doesn't mean that your life is more fulfilled or has more value. Does that make sense? I think especially people who have so many friends are not genuine. And I don't want to speak for a majority, but a friend to everyone is a friend to none. So I think before going into 2024, just look at your relationships, who adds value into your life and who doesn't, and just evaluate. Don't go into 2024 with fake friends, please. Like, we don't want that energy going into the new year.
Hey guys, Editing Gwen here. I have another thing to add on this subject. Do not let your current boyfriend prevent you from finding your future husband. I don't think I need to explain more on this, but in general, is he giving husband material? I think when people settle down, they kind of just create this future with that person in mind. But girl, there are so many other men in the world, and there are so many better men in the world. And I'm not saying go ahead and just like wreck your relationship. Don't do that, I promise you. I don't know, just don't expect a future with a person and create a fantasy. This goes back to what I said before as well. But, you know, never let your current relationship stop you from finding what's the best. Now send this to your boyfriend.
Like, you know, if you do break off a friendship or you do add a friendship into your life in 2024, know that that person was in your life for a reason. Sometimes I look back on my friendships and I'm like, oh my god, why was I even friends with this person? And you know, there's always a reason and there's always a purpose. That person did do something for your life. They may not have added value into your life, but they may have taught you a lesson. And I think that's something that I need to take into account in 2024 and in my future friendships, and, you know, just everything in general, how they contributed to my life. Because, you know, the people that do come and go in your life, you know, played some part in it, whether or not you acknowledge it or not. Okay, those were my main tips for today, but I still have some of my makeup to go, so I'm just gonna give you my piece of advice of friends and what kind of friends to avoid, because I think it's very hard to navigate friendships because you never know which ones are genuine and which ones aren't. So while I finish up my makeup, I'll tell you the kind of friends to avoid. Okay, so the first kind of friend to avoid is the one that expects you to be their therapist. And I think a lot of people go through this kind of friend because some people think that, you know, telling their life stories to a friend is a form of trauma bonding. It's not. I'm just sitting here sick of it. I think it's good to share experiences with people that you are close to, but also know where to draw that line. You cannot have a relationship that's only one way, you know, it has to be two ways. And I feel like the worst kind of friendships are the ones where one person is always like, me, 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 me. And if you are that friend, stop. Like, stop. That's what a therapist is for. That's what you pay someone to do. Not your friend that is your friend for your friend, you know? No one should be your therapist. because I promise you, if you are constantly talking to them about everything in your life and what happened here and what happened here and this and that, we're just gonna get annoyed. Next friend to avoid is the one that does not move on from things. Again, a very common kind of friend, and if you do experience this, you know how mentally draining it can be. People who latch on to things that happened like 5 years ago. People who latch on to things that happened last semester. Stop it. Do you know what it's giving? It's giving go to the store and buy a pair of clown shoes because you're acting like a clown. You're acting like a clown. People who live so far in the past, honestly, I think are some of the most annoying people to deal with. Like, stop bringing up drama from a year ago. Like, girl, we've been over that. We knew that, you know? But as humans, I think it's really common to do that and to latch on to past experiences. If you're talking about friendship drama that happened a year ago, if you're talking about a situationship from a year ago, shut up. Shut up. Tell your friend to shut up. It's mentally draining on the person you're telling it to, and no one wants to hear someone recount things that happened once. I heard it once, I don't need to hear it again. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. I don't know if this is the content you come here for, but it is the content that I am genuinely passionate about creating. If you have any questions about, you know, what I'm doing going into 2024, or, you know, how to improve yourself in 2024, please feel free to comment, send me a DM on Instagram, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.